centuries, women have felt obligated to meet a certain standard that society has placed on them. These standards include a variety of things like family, career, finance, and sometimes even physical appearance. Today, I will be discussing the statistics of gender equality in the workplace of men versus women, and then I will dive into the definition of gender equality and the effects that it has had in women in society today. I've compiled a couple articles together to discuss the issue at hand, and I hope that I can give you a new perspective on gender equality and how it is an issue in society. I was shocked to see how the public compared men versus women when it came to their jobs. The public was interviewed and asked about certain traits and characteristics that they think society values when it comes to men versus women in the workplace. This August, 3 researchers from the Pew Research Center compiled percentages together of men versus women when it came to the roles that genders play in their jobs. When it came to the different generations of women, the percentages changed and shifted. They lowered as the generations got younger, showing 51% of boomer women, 36% of Gen X women, and 26% of millennial women, sharing stories of how they have experienced gender discrimination in the workplace and or have been mistreated. The researchers also put together a graph of men versus women from 16 years or older from 1980 to 2016, showing the participation rate, where men went from 77% to 67% to 69%, and women went from 51% to 57%. Now we are going to discuss the gender discrimination in male-dominated work areas. This journal article discusses the gender discrimination nowadays in male-dominated workplaces. In the section of stereotypes, Pat O'Connor discusses how the stereotype of women can have effects on certain aspects of their jobs, including performance, behavior, and leadership. He addresses that the stereotype of women has now been depicted as natural or inevitable. And that has had an effect in thinking of leadership now as gendered, where if a male leader behaves like a woman, he is therefore not seen as a leader anymore. He also talks about how female workers are now placed into female-dominated workplaces, and those workplaces are depicted or perceived as low-status areas, and therefore they are not looked at or considered when wanting a new position in leadership. Now, setting aside statistics, we are going to talk about the perspective from a woman's eye. A couple of women were interviewed and asked about their perspective on how society's expectations for them. In Us Too, 8 women shared their stories of their experiences in the workplace. A story that really stood out to me was that of Christine Lapierre. She shares her story at the age of 25, where she was offered a job at an assembly plant. And she was under the impression that she was offered the job due to her hard work. However, whenever she got to the work area, she was greeted with a boss who sexually harassed her for 18 months without any of her guy coworkers standing up to help her. Christine Lapierre stated, "I was worried about how I would be perceived. I kept telling myself, I'm such a freaking stereotype." Because of the fear of being depicted and looked at as a stereotype, she went through something that nobody should ever have to go through. After discussing the general statistics of gender equality and gender discrimination and giving you a perspective of a woman firsthand experiencing gender discrimination, we are now going to look at the overview of what we have covered. I hope that I have given you a new perspective and outlook on gender discrimination and gender equality and the effects that it has had on women. I have informed you about the statistics of gender equality, and I have given you a perspective of a woman who experienced gender discrimination firsthand. It is important that you are knowledgeable of this issue in society today so that you can personally figure out what or if you want to do something about the issue today. Thank you.